In 2018, Fox News paid one of the largest settlements in their history, $4 million to keep someone quiet about Kimberly Guilfoyle. The allegations were so disturbing that even Roger Ailes' former protege couldn't survive them. But this wasn't the first time her personal life had exploded. Her marriages had a strange pattern. They ended fast, always right after her husbands learned something specific about her. The same behavior that would later force her out of Fox had been destroying her relationships for years. What exactly did these men discover that made them run? Kimberly Ann Guilfoyle was born on March 9, 1969, in San Francisco. Her life began at the crossroads of two strong cultures. Her mother, Mercedes, was Puerto Rican and worked as a special education teacher. Her father, Tony, was an Irish immigrant who came to America in 1957 at the age of 20. A year later, he was drafted into the U.S. Army while still an Irish citizen and served for 4 years. After his service, he worked in construction and eventually became a successful real estate investor. Kimberly grew up seeing her father's hustle and her mother's compassion. She spent summers in Ireland with relatives starting at age 5, helping out at the family store in Ennis. Those early years taught her how to work hard and value every opportunity. Her family started out in San Francisco's Mission District before settling in Westlake, Daly City. Everything changed when Kimberly was 10. Her mother died of leukemia, and the loss tore the family apart. Her younger brother Anthony was only 8, and their father had to raise them on his own. Kimberly stepped up, taking on tasks no child should have to handle. She cooked meals, took care of the house, and even got help from neighbors to buy groceries. That loss didn't just hurt, it shaped her. Her mother had been brilliant, always writing stories, cooking beautiful meals, and even sewing clothes they would later bring to native reservations. Losing someone like that left a hole, but it also pushed Kimberly to become independent, focused, and relentless. She learned quickly that no one was going to save her. She had to stand on her own. While studying at UC Davis, Kimberly made a practical choice. To help pay for school, she stepped into the world of modeling. It wasn't just a side gig. She modeled clothing, swimwear, and even lingerie, including for Victoria's Secret. Some gigs paid as much as $300 an hour. She worked for Macy's and appeared in bridal magazines. It was serious business, and she was smart about it. She said the experience gave her confidence and helped her learn how to handle herself in high-pressure settings. She knew where to draw the line and made it clear she never did anything she'd regret the next morning. This wasn't about fame, it was about survival and staying on track with her goals. Kimberly also had a strong Catholic upbringing that stuck with her through life. She went to Mercy High School, a Catholic all-girls school where she developed a love for debate and leadership. The school pushed values like hard work, discipline, and faith. Even later, when she married Democratic politician Gavin Newsom, those values didn't fade. Over time, they actually pulled her away from liberal politics. Her faith became her foundation. She later said prayer helped her recover from COVID-19 in 2020. Her devotion to the Virgin Mary and her belief in traditional values made her one of the most outspoken Catholic voices in conservative politics. Her upbringing gave her a clear view of what she believed in, even when it clashed with the people around her. After graduating from UC Davis magna cum laude with a degree in political science, Kimberly went to the University of San Francisco School of Law. She juggled law school and modeling while working internships, including one at the San Francisco District Attorney's Office. She also studied in Ireland at Trinity College, Dublin, where she focused on international children's rights and European law. Her education wasn't just about getting a degree. She built experience, developed a global view, and set herself up for something bigger. She finished law school in 1994 and was already positioning herself for a high-profile legal career. But her rise didn't go smoothly. In 1996, at just 27, she was fired from the San Francisco DA's office by Terrence Hallinan, the new district attorney. 13 other prosecutors were let go too, and the firings caused public outrage. The union filed a grievance, accusing Hallinan of discrimination. Kimberly had worked for the previous DA, Arlo Smith, and even supported his campaign. Getting fired like that, so early in her career, was a gut punch. It was a lesson in how political loyalty can vanish overnight. Blacklisted from San Francisco's legal scene, she had to start over from scratch. She moved to Los Angeles and spent the next 4 years at the LA District Attorney's Office, where she worked on some of the toughest cases imaginable. She prosecuted crimes like kidnapping, arson, robbery, sexual assault, and homicide. Her performance stood out. She won awards, including Prosecutor of the Month. She handled pressure like a veteran and earned respect for how well she prepared her cases. LA gave her a much broader stage, and she used it to sharpen her skills. Her time there proved that the firing in San Francisco hadn't broken her. It had only made her tougher. In 2000, something unexpected happened. Hallinan, the same man who had fired her, brought her back to the San Francisco DA's office. This shocked everyone, especially Kamala Harris, who tried to stop the rehiring. Harris allegedly called Kimberly, pretending to speak on behalf of a hiring committee, and told her no jobs were available. But Hallinan learned about the call and rehired Kimberly anyway. The office wasn't happy. Some co-workers were furious, and the situation exposed the inner politics at play. But Kimberly's return wasn't just a win. It was a statement. She had earned her way back through hard work, not favors. That comeback would become a defining part of her story. In 2002, Kimberly took on the case that would change her life. A woman named Diane Whipple was mauled to death by 2 massive dogs in a San Francisco apartment hallway. The case, People vs. Knoll and Knoller, got national attention. Kimberly co-prosecuted the case with James Hammer, and together they secured a rare second-degree murder conviction against the dog's owner, Marjorie Knoller. It was a groundbreaking verdict. They argued the dogs had been known to be dangerous, and bringing them into a public hallway was reckless enough to count as murder. Kimberly's courtroom performance caught the eye of television executives. Court TV offered her a job, and just like that, she was on a new path. That trial became her launchpad into national media. In 2003, the feud between Kimberly and Kamala Harris became public. During Harris's campaign for DA, Kimberly accused her of creating a hostile work environment during the hiring process. She called Harris's actions underhanded and frosty. Harris denied it, but the conflict spilled into the press. Hallinan even confirmed in a public debate that Harris had opposed the hiring. Kimberly still acknowledged that Harris was smart and a good speaker, but the tension never went away. That early rivalry between 2 rising women in law and politics would stretch into the decades that followed. Kimberly Guilfoyle first met Gavin Newsom in 1994 at a Democratic fundraiser for John Burton, a California Assembly member. The introduction came through San Francisco attorney Art Groza, who thought the two might be a good match. At the time, Kimberly was working as a prosecutor in the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, while Gavin was an ambitious young political figure starting to make a name for himself. She later admitted that the moment she saw him, she was struck by how tall, elegant, and charismatic he looked. Gavin never forgot that first meeting either. For years afterward, he would ask his friends what had happened to that DA from LA. It wasn't until 5 years later that they reconnected, when Gavin traveled to Los Angeles and finally asked her to dinner. By December 2001, the couple had become one of the most talked-about pairs in California politics. On December 8th, they married at St. Ignatius Catholic Church on the University of San Francisco campus. The event drew 500 guests and was called the Social Event of the Year by the San Francisco Chronicle. Among the attendees was actor Ed Asner, who flew in from Rome, where he was filming a movie as the Pope. Kimberly wore white, and Gavin, then a 34-year-old county supervisor, looked every bit the rising star standing beside his new wife, who had just joined San Francisco's district attorney's office. The celebration continued at Anne and Gordon Getty's mansion, where the city's elite partied until the early hours. In September 2004, their image reached a new level of fame when Harper's Bazaar ran a feature on them. The magazine photographed them in glamorous settings, including a shot of the two lying together on an ornate rug at the Getty mansion. The story labeled them the new Kennedys, a comparison that highlighted not just their looks, but their growing political and social influence. Gavin had just become mayor at 36, while Kimberly was seen as the perfect political partner. Gavin described their marriage as a mix of love and pride, while Kimberly spoke of the deep trust they shared. Kimberly's role quickly expanded when Gavin was sworn in as mayor on January 8, 2004. Just 3 days later, she left for New York to begin hosting the court TV show, Both Sides. Balancing her new media career while serving as San Francisco's First Lady was far from easy. She attended official functions, represented the city at public events, and supported community projects, all while flying back and forth between coasts. Observers pointed out the irony that she was promoting progressive San Francisco values while at the same time building a career in conservative-leaning media. Her time as First Lady lasted only 2 years, from 2004 to 2006, one of the shortest terms in city history. Behind the scenes, the marriage was already under strain. Before the wedding, negotiations over their prenuptial agreement had turned tense. Gavin insisted on a detailed prenup, largely to protect his family's wealth and his political career from potential scandal. Kimberly, an attorney herself, understood the legal reasoning, but still felt the terms were unromantic and a sign of doubt in their relationship. The decision to move to New York for her court TV job made things worse. The show required her to spend hours each day covering trials and giving legal commentary, leaving little time for her marriage. Gavin later admitted that their bi-coastal arrangement was brutal, saying publicly that it had taken a huge toll on them. He even confessed that the only saving grace was that they didn't have children, because their lives had become so separate that even normal married life was impossible. Their differences weren't just about distance. In 2004, Gavin made headlines nationwide when he ordered San Francisco clerks to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, a move that placed him firmly on the progressive map. Kimberly, on the other hand, had been a registered Republican and was already building connections that would later lead her to Fox News. While he was being celebrated for officiating gay weddings on the steps of City Hall, she was shaping a career in a political world that leaned in the opposite direction. Gavin later said she had once been surrounded by Democrats, but eventually became fully drawn into Fox's culture. Even after filing for divorce, they struggled to let go. In November 2005, months after separating, they appeared together at several high-profile events, including Prince Charles and Camilla's visit to San Francisco. The public was confused, and so were they. When former Mayor Willie Brown asked Gavin directly about his marriage during the royal visit, Gavin admitted, "I have a very confusing life." Kimberly added that anyone watching them could see they still cared deeply for each other, though she couldn't say if they were truly back together. By February 2006, the marriage officially ended. Their divorce was finalized that month, and Kimberly quickly moved forward with her career. That same February, She joined Fox News to host The Lineup, a weekend program focused on crime stories. Though the show lasted only a year, it gave her a national platform and led to more appearances across cable news. She had already been known for prosecuting high-profile cases like the 2001 dog mauling trial, and now she was firmly established as a television personality. Her big breakthrough came in 2011 when she became one of the original co-hosts of The Five. The show, which premiered on July 11, 2011, averaged 2.5 million viewers, including 510,000 in the key 25 to 54 demographic. It quickly became one of Fox's top programs, and Kimberly's outspoken style made her one of the network's most recognizable voices. In 2014, she added another role by co-hosting Outnumbered. Over the next 4 years, she appeared in nearly 50 episodes, often juggling both shows while also guest hosting programs like Hannity, Justice with Judge Janine, and Fox and Friends. She was a regular on The O'Reilly Factor until it was canceled in 2017 and even became a familiar face on Fox's New Year's Eve broadcasts from Times Square. Her importance to the network was underscored in June 2017 when Fox signed her to a long-term contract extension. Programming president Suzanne Scott called her a huge asset to The Five. But the deal turned out to be short-lived. For 15 years, Kimberly Guilfoyle had a mentorship with Roger Ailes that went far beyond the usual boss and employee relationship. She was seen as his protégé and enjoyed a level of protection that made her untouchable at Fox News. When Ailes faced a wave of sexual harassment accusations in 2016, she stood firmly by his side. Guilfoyle told reporters she had always been treated with respect and called him a fantastic mentor. Many at Fox said she had so much knowledge of Ailes's operations that executives couldn't fire her, even though they tried years before she eventually left. To them, she was the woman who knew too much. When Gretchen Carlson filed her bombshell lawsuit against Ailes in July 2016, Guilfoyle jumped into action. She called the accusations unbelievable and became one of his loudest defenders. She joined Beth Ailes in rallying support inside the network and even handed out pro-Ailes t-shirts, pressuring women to wear them as a sign of loyalty. She told the press that Ailes was a man who championed women, pointing to his record of hiring them for leadership positions. Behind the scenes, she allegedly called female colleagues to push them into defending him publicly. Her efforts made her the face of the pro-Ailes camp, while the network carried out its internal review. Not everyone agreed with her loyalty. One of the most bitter feuds to erupt was with Megyn Kelly, who refused to speak up for Ailes. Kelly's silence, guided by her lawyers, infuriated Guilfoyle. Sources claimed she started a quiet smear campaign against Kelly, feeling betrayed that the star anchor wouldn't stand with Team Roger. The tension spread through the Fox offices. Later, Kelly revealed that Ailes had harassed her 10 years earlier, which explained why she could not defend him. For many, that revelation made Guilfoyle's attacks on her even more disturbing, since she was essentially pressuring a victim to shield her alleged abuser. Even after Ailes resigned in disgrace that summer, Guilfoyle reportedly struggled to adjust to the changing culture at Fox. She made sharp and inappropriate comments, including telling colleagues that Janine Pirro, then 67, was too old to be on television. By 2017, whispers about her behavior grew louder. Fox opened a year-long investigation after a young female assistant, hired in 2015, reported disturbing misconduct. HR officials began quietly interviewing staff, including makeup and hair artists, who said Guilfoyle often discussed sexual matters at work and made them deeply uncomfortable. The investigation uncovered far more than casual comments. According to a 42-page draft complaint from her assistant, Guilfoyle regularly displayed herself naked, and sometimes asked the young woman to critique her appearance. She allegedly showed her photographs of male genitalia belonging to partners and fans, demanded thigh massages, and encouraged her to submit to sexual favors for powerful men. Makeup and hair staff also told investigators they had been forced to see the same explicit photographs and listen to graphic talk that made the workplace unbearable. By the summer of 2018, Fox executives had enough evidence that they felt they had no choice but to act. They delivered an ultimatum: resign by the end of July, or face termination along with public exposure of the allegations. Rupert Murdoch later admitted in a Dominion lawsuit email that he personally insisted she be fired for inappropriate behavior. On July 20, 2018, Fox announced they had parted ways with Kimberly Guilfoyle. The official statement gave no details, and Guilfoyle claimed she left to avoid conflicts of interest over her relationship with Donald Trump Jr. But insiders knew the truth was very different. Behind the scenes, Fox agreed to pay her former assistant at least $4 million in a private settlement, one of the largest sexual harassment payouts in the network's history. The deal came with a strict non-disclosure agreement that silenced the young woman, keeping the disturbing details from reaching a courtroom. When later contacted, she simply said she had nothing to share. The enormous payout showed just how damaging Fox believed the case could be to their reputation. Additional testimony from makeup and hair staff only added to the picture. They recalled how Guilfoyle would show explicit photos in the workplace and speak openly about her sex life, while berating support staff in emotionally abusive ways. For many, it created an environment that was not only hostile but dangerous for young women at the network. Kimberly Guilfoyle's fall from Fox News in July 2018 was brutal, but her recovery was almost instant. Just 3 days after being forced out, she joined America First Policies, a super PAC created to back Donald Trump. It was a stunning turnaround considering she had just faced a year-long internal investigation at Fox that ended with a $4 million settlement to her former assistant over sexual harassment claims. The allegations were disturbing, including reports that she exposed herself to staff and shared explicit photos of men she had been involved with. Despite the scandal, the Trump orbit welcomed her, proving that loyalty mattered more than controversy. The decision to cut her loose was especially sharp, given that Fox had signed her to a long-term contract in 2017, showing how quickly her media empire collapsed. The timing of her personal life was just as striking. Only 2 months before her Fox exit, her relationship with Donald Trump Jr. went public in May 2018. Trump Jr.'s spokesperson declared that having her on the campaign trail was a win for the entire GOP, instantly securing her a new role in Republican politics. The couple had met earlier that year at a party after Guilfoyle ended a previous relationship, and their chemistry was immediate. By July, she was already by Trump Jr.'s side at rallies for Ron DeSantis in Florida and Matt Rosendale in Montana. What could have been the end of her career became the beginning of her transformation into part of a Republican power couple. Her place in Trump's inner circle solidified in January 2020 when she was made national chairwoman of the Trump Victory Finance Committee. Under her lead, the donor network ballooned from around 1,000 bundlers to 6,500 within months, and her program raised about $73 million. Yet behind the numbers, there was turmoil. Reports surfaced of reckless spending, seasoned staff leaving, and even claims that she engaged in sexually explicit conversations at private fundraisers that left donors uneasy. She was quietly being paid $15,000 a month through Brad Parscale's private company, Parscale Strategy, instead of directly by the campaign. The unusual arrangement raised eyebrows, but her ability to bring in money kept her secure. In Trump's world, results outweighed reputation. On New Year's Eve 2020, Trump Jr. proposed. They kept their engagement hidden for a full year, revealing it publicly on January 1st, 2022, through a polished Instagram post showing off her diamond ring. The timing was telling. It came only weeks after Trump's defeat in the 2020 election and the January 6th Capitol riot, where Guilfoyle had helped raise millions for the rally and was paid $60,000 for a speech that lasted just 2.5 minutes. Announcing the engagement at that moment cemented her role as part of the Trump dynasty during its most turbulent period. But despite the promise of marriage, nearly 4 years passed with no wedding. The cracks became public in August 2024 when photos surfaced of Trump Jr. kissing Florida socialite Bettina Anderson during brunch at the Honor Bar in Palm Beach. Witnesses described the scene as openly affectionate, with Anderson placing her hand on his thigh and kissing him repeatedly. The pair had first been spotted together at the Republican National Convention the previous month, but the August photos were undeniable proof of an affair that had been building for months. Anderson, the 38-year-old daughter of Palm Beach entrepreneur Harry Loy Anderson Jr., quickly made it clear she wasn't interested in being the other woman. She demanded that Trump Jr. choose. By December, he was openly holding her hand at her birthday dinner at Buchan Restaurant, leaving no doubt that his 6-year relationship with Guilfoyle was over. Guilfoyle was blindsided. Sources close to her said she discovered the affair through the same tabloid photos the public saw. In September 2024, only weeks after the scandal broke, Trump Jr. publicly posted about their anniversary, praising her for always being there no matter what the haters are throwing our way. Guilfoyle responded by calling him her best friend and soulmate, unaware that he was already preparing to move on. Behind the scenes, her pain was deep, but she continued to stand beside him at Trump's November 2024 election night celebration. Insiders later revealed it was all for show. The Trump family never fully warmed to her. Privately, members were said to find her loud personality and flashy style off-putting. They also noted she was older than Don Jr. and had already been married twice. Some believed she was more in love with the idea of being a Trump than with Don himself. In contrast, they viewed Anderson as a better fit, younger, refined, and from a socialite background closer to Melania's image. When the affair came to light, not a single Trump family member defended Guilfoyle. Instead, Donald Trump swiftly nominated her as ambassador to Greece on December 10, 2024, just a day after new photos of Don Jr. and Anderson appeared. The timing left little doubt that the ambassadorship was a carefully planned exit strategy. Greece is considered a non-strategic post, far from Washington's center of power, but the role offered prestige and a graceful removal from family drama. Trump praised her extensive experience and leadership in law, media, and politics, along with her sharp intellect. It was a remarkable 6-year journey, from being fired over sexual harassment allegations at Fox, to becoming a top Trump fundraiser, to joining the diplomatic stage. But the past still follows her. In July 2025, during Senate confirmation hearings for the Greece ambassadorship, she faced renewed questions about her Fox News scandal. The allegations from 2018 painted a troubling picture. Her former assistant claimed she was forced to work from Guilfoyle's apartment, where she was exposed to her boss's nudity, shown explicit photos, and pressured into uncomfortable sexual situations. The assistant had detailed all of this in a draft complaint before Fox paid at least $4 million to settle, one of the largest payouts in the network's history. The New Yorker later verified several of the claims. Though Guilfoyle avoided heated exchanges during her testimony, polls showed that 62% of Americans believed such allegations should disqualify nominees. Yet with Republicans holding a slim majority, her confirmation looked certain. The settlement, protected by strict non-disclosure agreements, had kept the scandal quiet for years. Rupert Murdoch himself later confirmed he had pushed for her firing over inappropriate behavior. With her new ambassadorship, the NDAs and her political connections may continue to shield her from deeper fallout. Her story shows how, in Trump's orbit, even the most serious professional scandals can be rewritten with enough loyalty, timing, and power behind the scenes.